Hello, it is another Wednesday night, and what are you expecting at this time? Well, you have it. The news with the extra touch. Tonight it is truly extra as we have so much to share with you. As we open with decisions of the Federal Executive Council, when the nation also got a brand new Chief Justice. Race to keep the January to December budget cycle picks momentum as both chambers of the National Assembly begin work. We are fully in the season of politics, so expect update on political activities. There is also a lot happening in the business environment, both locally and internationally. We have you covered on all of these. Now, this brief rundown is by no means all we have lined up for you. There is a lot more and interesting too. So all you have to do is sit back and enjoy the show. After all, the taste of the pudding is in the eating. I am Fatima Umar Buba and this is News Extra. You're welcome. We begin with FEC. The Federal Executive Council has approved a full business case for the establishment of aircraft maintenance, repair and overhaul facility in the nation's capital, Abuja. Also to be established is fire truck maintenance and refurbishment center for the aviation industry in Katsina State. Minister of Aviation Hadi Sirika announced this while briefing journalists after the council's meeting. State House correspondent Adam Sambo reports.
To be established using the build, operate and transfer model of public-private partnership, the proposed aircraft maintenance, repair and overhaul facility in Abuja is part of government efforts to optimize business opportunities in Nigeria's aviation value chain.
What we envisage by this MRO is to have a huge facility where multiple aisle wide capacity aircraft such as 777, 747s, including the smaller ones of 73s and so on, can be maintained from check A all the way to final check D, A, B, C, and D. And it is extremely necessary because the facility does not exist in Nigeria, not only in Nigeria, in the whole of Western Central Africa, there is none.
The project has a multi-pronged objectives, including curtailment of capital flight, encouraging foreign investment, enhancing technology transfer to Nigerians, improving aircraft maintenance turnaround time, and generally developing the aviation sector in the country.
The total amount of money to be paid to federal government is $185,750,000. I'm happy to say that gradually our roadmap items that we started in 2016 and chose the way of PPP is happening, and we are glad and excited that this will be a game changer.
And giving details on the approved contract for the establishment of fire truck maintenance and refurbishment center in Katsina State, the minister described it as very critical for the aviation industry.
In the past governments used to ship this firefighting equipment back to Europe where they are manufactured to get refurbished and bring back at a cost, and of course it takes time to do so and export our labor and our foreign exchange. So the Buhari government decided that we should establish one, and that center will cater for aviation firefighting equipment, including all other firefighting equipments around the country. In fact, it's not going to be limited to only firefighting, it will be for heavy duty vehicles that could be maintained. And the intent and purpose is, as they gain experience, we go into assembly of those trucks here in Nigeria and eventually start to manufacture our own.
About 13 billion naira is to be expended on the entire project. The Federal Executive Council also approved the adoption of the revised national policy on labor migration and its action plan.
Nigerian government is interested in protecting migrant workers who are here with us and our people who go out there. They shouldn't be treated like slaves. Certainly this is a policy that is coming to confront the challenges of illegal migration, illegal employment, exploitative processes, forced labor, smuggling and human trafficking in our society.
The Federal Executive Council also ratified the International Labour Organization Convention 181, which not only permits the operations of private employment agencies in the country, but also sets standards as regards the way and manner employees, including domestic staff, are to be decently treated and their human rights fully protected. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Mobile telephone network MTN has been giving the go-ahead to take over and complete the construction of the Enugu-Onitsha Expressway linking Enugu and Anambra states. Minister of Works and Housing Babatunde Fashola, who announced this approval of the Federal Executive Council, said the project is to be executed under the tax credit scheme. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo again has that.
President Muhammadu Buhari had in 2019 signed Executive Order 7 on roads infrastructure tax credit scheme. This is to allow the private sector invest tax liabilities in advance in the development of critical public infrastructure. Several roads, including Apapa Oshodi, Orun-Shakin Ojota Expressway in Lagos State, as well as that of Bodo-Boni in River State, have been financed as a result of that policy.
Today we have two more. So the first that was approved today was the one by MTN Nigeria PLC, the telecommunication company, to take over and complete the ongoing Enugu-Onitsha Expressway. That road is 110 kilometers, which is being dualized. So you have 110 kilometers times 2. The outstanding works aggregate to about 91 point something kilometers on both sides, if you accumulate it. So this policy is going to allow a steady and sustained stream of funding to completion by MTN.
The amount approved by the government, the minister explained, is 202.8 billion naira.
The second memo also was under the tax credit scheme. This one is with respect to a road in Abia State. Now, the road is called Umuchichi Osusu Umueme GZ Industries Road in Abia. The beneficiary, the private sector beneficiary of the approval, is a company called GZ Industries. So it's a link road to their factory, 3.7 kilometer road.
4.2 billion naira has been approved for the project. The Minister of Police Affairs, Muhammad Magaret Ingadi, also secured a contract approval on behalf of the Nigeria Police Trust Fund for the supply of 60 operational vehicles, as well as an insurance cover for several others at 4.5 billion naira.
The vehicles that were about supply are to be used for tactical operations, supervision, and strategic deployment in a bid to strategize for better security networking, as well as aid strategic deployment of tactical squads to tackle insecurity across the country. The insurance cover is intended to cover all the vehicles purchased by the Police Trust Fund between 2020 and 2022. Involving about 450 vehicles.
The council also approved 592.2 million naira for the procurement of MRI equipment and accessories for the Obafemi Awolowo University Teaching Hospital, Ile-Ife, Osun State.
Procurement of this equipment, it is strongly believed that most patients that usually travel to Lagos and some other surrounding environment close to Ile-Ife to seek for better medical services will now be able to have the comfort and the leisure of staying back in Ile-Ife to get all the medical services they need in terms of diagnosis and treatment at the Obafemi University Teaching Hospital, Ile-Ife.
The approval, the minister said, will go a long way towards strengthening healthcare services in the teaching hospital, which has been having serious challenges in giving the best of medical care to those in need. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
In the meantime, Justice Olukayode Ariola has been formally sworn in as the substantive Chief Justice of Nigeria. President Muhammadu Buhari performed the ceremony in fulfillment of the provisions of Section 231, subsection 1 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. State House correspondent Adam Sambo again has the report.
that I will preserve, protect, and defend the laws of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So help me God.
Justice Olukayode Areola takes oath of office before President Muhammadu Buhari as the 18th Chief Justice of Nigeria. Born over 60 years ago in Isheyin, Oyo State, Justice Areola bagged his Bachelor of Laws degree in 1980 from the then University of Ife, called to the Nigerian bar and got enrolled at the Supreme Court as a solicitor and advocate in July 1981. The new CJN has been on the bench of the nation's apex court for nearly 11 years, having been appointed in November 2011. Before his elevation to the Supreme Court, Justice Areola, a fellow of the International Dispute Resolution Institute, served as Justice of the Court of Appeal in Kaduna, Enugu, and Lagos divisions. He was appointed Acting Chief Justice of Nigeria in June this year.
I believe the law that had taken me this far will continue to support me to do the best for Nigerians. I shall not let down Nigerians, because with the support of my brother justices, like I can see all of them are here with me, as they were when I was sworn in acting capacity. With their support, we shall not fail Nigerians. We are computerizing already the Supreme Court and all other courts of records, so that the delay in filing cases will become a thing of the past.
You're coming on board close to an election year. The judiciary will be very busy. What is your message to politicians?
Politicians should allow the judiciary to function. You know, law is not static. And that's why you have seen that the National Assembly had continued to amend the laws. And it is the law that the courts apply to the facts available. We shall continue to do justice if only Nigerians will allow us to perform and function without any pressure.
Governors of Oyo and Ondo states, as well as a number of justices of the Supreme Court of Nigeria, were on hand to show solidarity.
He is a very disciplined person. He is a team player, and he is an erudite person. These three adjectives qualifies him.
So what do Nigerians expect from him?
A disciplined judiciary, a selfless judiciary, and a courageous judiciary.
Well, the message from Oyo is we are really, really happy. One of our own is now the Chief Justice of Nigeria, and the good people of Oyo State were thankful to Mr. President for seeing the process through. It's been quite a while when this type of opportunity has knocked on our door. So we counted ourselves quite lucky, and we look forward to supporting him to contribute to the development of the judiciary in Nigeria.
The new CJN, Justice Olukayode Areola, succeeded Justice Ibrahim Tanko Muhammad, who resigned his appointment on health grounds. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has granted audience to the recipients of the National Honours Awards, describing them as shining examples to the younger generation. State House correspondent Adamu Sambu reports.
The recipients are the State Chief of Protocol, Ambassador Lawal Kazaure, Presidential Media Advisor, Premier Adeshino, Senior Special Assistant, Household and Domestic Matters, Muhammad Sarki Abba, Special Assistant to the President, Sabi Yusuf Tunde, and his Chief Personal Physician, Dr. Suhaib Sanusi Rafindadi. Premier Adeshina, who spoke on their behalf, thanked the President for giving them the opportunity to serve and be so recognized and rewarded with befitting National Honours Awards.
To me, and I believe to everybody, it came as a surprise. We were not expecting it. Because we were completely caught off guard.
President Buhari commended the awardees for always discharging their duties with high sense of responsibility and patriotism, describing the honor done to them as well deserved. He encouraged them to continue in that manner, as the reward for hard work is indeed more work. Meanwhile, a delegation of Igbo Friends and Onyebuchi Chris Ifediora Foundation was in the State House to felicitate with the presidential media advisor Femi Adesina on his conferment of the national honor of OON by President Muhammadu Buhari.
We deem it wise to come to appreciate him, to tell Nigerians who he is. Because if you're not closer to him, you wouldn't know. He's a detribalized Nigerian.
Mr. Adesina, who appreciated the visit, harps on Nigeria's unity in diversity, saying the country stands to benefit more when the people are united in confronting the ills besetting the land rather than sectionalizing it.
Mr. President is a man who never forgets a good talk. He never forgets a good talk. When you have stood by him, he stands by you. He believes that loyalty is reciprocal. You, as the person serving him, must be loyal to him, and he, as the boss and president, too, is loyal to you.
The Onyebuchi Chris Ifediora Foundation is a non-governmental, non-profit, and non-political organization established with the aim of breaking down barriers to the attainment of excellence. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
5 days after receiving the 2023 budget from the executive, Senate has passed the appropriation bill for second reading with emphasis on critical scrutiny of the increases in recurrent expenditure. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nkwol reports that the budget was referred to the Senate Committee on Appropriations for Budget Defense by ministries, departments, and agencies of government.
After Senate suspended its plenary on Tuesday because of the National Honors Award involving two presiding officers and some members, the legislators continued with legislative business Wednesday. After receiving the 2023 budget from the executive last week Friday, senators have considered the provisions of the money bill and passed it for second reading.
All over the world, there's economic problem. And Nigeria is not an exception, but we need to reduce the cost of governance.
There are leakages in even the platform that we use in collecting government revenues.
We need to ensure prompt and effective collection of water bills, or power bills, or health bills, so that all these funds will be used to liquidate the monies that we are borrowing.
Reduction in budget deficit, leakages in revenue generation, and continuous increment in recurrent expenditure, even in years when there was embargo on employment, was of concern.
Don't we also need to look at the size of the bureaucracy of our government? When you have a situation whereby people still go on consistently on foreign trips, local trips, and so on, and many nebulous consultancy. If there is that time or after, we should even investigate why is our recurrent expenditure going up? Why is it supposed to go down?
Therefore, I urge my colleagues to approve the second reading of this appropriation bill 2023 for consideration by the Appropriation Committee and its subcommittees.
The desire of this Senate and indeed the National Assembly, the National Assembly, is to consider and pass the budget before Christmas, before the 25th day of December. And for us, our committees, we must be extremely critical, because this time around, I believe that we need to look at every cranny of what the budget proposal is.
Senate passed the Nigeria Police Trust Fund 2023 budget of 65.9 billion, while that of the 2022 FCT budget of 607.9 billion naira passed second reading. Senator Beta Piafi's motion called on the federal government to provide security along the Emoha-Kalabari Road in Rivers State and to commence its rehabilitation and other bad roads in Nigeria, address flooding in parts of Rivers West Senatorial District, Anambra Central, Anambra North, Adamawa and other parts of the country, and provide relief materials to victims.
Needs to make special provision in the 2023 budget to begin the process of addressing this issue of perennial flooding in Nigeria, as the flooding this year has been a major disaster. Senate
adjourned plenary to 15th of November 2022 for budget defense. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nko, NTA News.
The stage is now set for standing committees of the House of Representatives to engage ministries, departments and agencies of government on their fiscal projections for 2023 as captured in the budget estimate, which passed second reading at the House of Representatives during Wednesday's plenary. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali brings us the striking points of the debate on the budget bill before its referral to the Appropriations Committee.
One point that resonated in the course of the debate on the appropriation bill is the consistency in the last 7 years of the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari in budgetary releases and implementation.
We must look at those key areas, especially in the area of consolidation of the ongoing projects. Most of these projects, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, you can agree with me, are the legacy projects of the Buhari administration. They are also legacy projects that we should all be proud of as an institution. Part of the projects that Nigerians, our constituencies, enjoy today are those projects that are sponsored by members.
In my constituency, this government have done well in implementation of budgets. We were able to recover erosion sites that was killing people over the years.
Contributions also touch on the prospects and challenges of the 2023 budget vis-a-vis current realities such as crude oil theft, subsidy, revenue leakages, among others.
Our debt to GDP ratio is still within the sustainable bound.
Suddenly we are discovering that a pipeline has been existing for the harvest of petroleum products and is not official.
If we are to block the crude oil theft between now and December, we can make more than 4.5 trillion.
We need to leverage on the global energy crisis to maximize our gain.
Our revenue generation agencies in Nigeria are not doing enough.
The lawmakers said the budget's defense with MDAs is an opportunity to close gaps. Other features as plenary include the adoption of a motion from Hassan Fulata and 11 House members urging authorities to provide protection and relief materials in states affected by flood. The motion from Solomon Maren appealing for urgent action by governments to stop incessant killings and kidnappings around Mangu Bokos in Plateau State was adopted.
The Nigerian Police Force, the Nigerian Armed Forces and other security agencies that they immediately mobilize security to the troubled areas.
House members also supported the call from Shehu Kakali requesting the return of looted artifacts in Sokoto Caliphate by colonials and the motion from Abbas Adigun seeking the declaration of historical monuments in Oyo State as national monuments.
Those who looted those people, our people's heritage resources, especially during the 19th century and early 20th century wars, smuggled them out of the country and contributed to the impoverishment of the state's heritage and depletion of the nation's tourism and cultural sectors. Oyo State has none out of 65 national monuments in Nigeria.
Meanwhile, the House has passed a resolution to investigate the planned sale of Polaris Bank by the CBN as raised by Henry Wauba and the alleged setting ablaze of a vessel involved in oil theft by security men at Focados as moved by Onufio Luke. Plenary has been adjourned to Tuesday, 15th November 2022. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
And away from the National Assembly, federal government says there is no plan to sell the transmission company of Nigeria, TCN, and urges the public to dismiss statements regarding a non-existing plan to privatize the company. A statement by the Minister of Power, Abubakar Aliyu, states that while the generation and distribution arms of the power sector have been privatized, federal government will continue to retain ownership of the transmission arm with investments currently ongoing to make TCN a world-class transmission service provider. Federal government says under the leadership of President Muhammadu Buhari, it focuses on upgrading, stabilizing and modernizing Nigeria's power sector through various interventions, including the Nigeria Cement deal, which the Presidential Power Initiative is driving as part of the repositioning of TCN. Job opportunities are being created as with the recently concluded ramp-up of employment, contrary to claims of mass disengagement of staff at TCN. Up ahead, APC strategizes to hit the road with its presidential campaign as Labour Party unveils campaign council. Wait for these and much more after these messages. Welcome back. APC stakeholders say a cohesive momentum is building ahead of the formal commencement of the party's presidential campaign. To this end, a tripartite meeting between the APC Presidential Campaign Council, Progressive Governors and the National Working Committee has taken a position on the manifesto of its presidential candidate. Salihu Gwanara, I beg your pardon, reports.
Spokesperson of the APC Presidential Campaign Council, Festus Keyamo, addressed journalists on the agenda of the meeting held behind closed doors.
And so what we did today was to review the drafts of our manifesto. Our candidate is not a candidate that operates on his own. He tries to carry everybody along. And so he presented the draft to all the stakeholders today. We want to sell the message in that manifesto to even the market woman, to the street trader, in the most simple language.
President Muhammadu Buhari was titled as chairman of the Presidential Campaign Council.
We are going to take his diary into consideration in picking and choosing the dates. But we are all virtually agreed that we are going to hit the streets very soon. We have agreed on the region we are going to begin from. I'm not going to say that now.
Our campaign financing is really important. Without it, you can't do a whole lot. But that's a subject that we will discuss in due course. We're not there yet. Yes.
And there's really no hurry about this. As far as we are concerned, we have a very strong team, very strong candidate, very strong governors, very strong party input and leadership, and the PCC is waxing strong. Everybody was here.
As the party musters its might towards the moment when the campaign trail will kick off, stakeholders arising from this meeting reaffirmed their commitment to work as members of the United Progressives family. In Abuja, Salihu Gwanara, NTA News.
And Labour Party has unveiled its Presidential Campaign Council in Abuja. The 1,234-member team has the mandate to coordinate the campaign on behalf of the party. David Irie reports.
The Campaign Council has a retired Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Zarewa, as chairman, former Senior Special Assistant on Public Affairs to former President Goodluck Jonathan, Dr. Doyin Okukpe, as Director General, while the organizing secretary of the party, Clement Ojukwu, is the secretary. The party is optimistic that with the support base of the youths and other Nigerians desirous of a better nation, victory will be sure at the end of the day, but wants relevant agencies to play neutral.
The INEC must carry the political parties along. We are going to insist that when anybody presents himself for election and accreditation and is accredited, it does not matter whether officers of INEC are available or machines are not working. If it takes 3 days for them, once they are accredited, they shall vote.
The committee is expected to make public the campaign schedule of the party. In Abuja, David Ire, NTA News.
Governorship and state assembly campaigns ahead of the 2023 general elections officially takes off today, and the deployment of technology as contained in the Electoral Act raises hope for the electorate for a fair process during the elections. While INEC is not relenting with innovations to ensure a credible process, some stakeholders are expressing concerns. Timothy Yusuf tells us all about it.
Many believe there has been a gradual improvement on the nation's electoral processes as experienced in the off-season elections. INEC has promised an even a better outing, especially when new technologies introduced are leveraged upon and deployed fully into the election process. The electorate also seem upbeat on other better outcomes going forward.
Armed with an improved electoral act, administrative procedures, and requisite technology, the Commission has increased the transparency and confidence of the public in the election result management process in Nigeria.
In spite of this general expression of optimism for improved elections, the Coalition of United Political Parties, CUPP, has however raised the alarm over an alleged pressure on INEC by some highly placed politicians to deactivate bimodal voter accreditation system BVAS from its server during the 2023 general elections. The CUPP spokesman Ikenga Oguchinyere, who raised the alarm at a media briefing in Abuja, also alleged that INEC is also under pressure not to transmit the results of the 2023 polls electronically.
Not only must our election be free and fair, but seen to be so. Nigerians have resolved that the 2023 election will be peaceful.
The coalition has emphasized that the improvements recorded in recent off-season elections were remarkable due to the introduction of technology into the election processes. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed says it is heartwarming that the United States has joined the League of Nations, embracing morality and returning stolen cultural property belonging to Nigeria. The minister stated this in Washington, D.C. during the signing of a final repatriation agreement of Benin bronzes from the U.S. Anthony Forson reports.
The Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed, while describing the artifacts as intrinsic to the culture that produced them, the people ought not to be denied of works of their forebearers. So it is in the light of this, therefore, the government and people of Nigeria remains grateful for the cooperation given by the U.S. With this agreement, Lai Mohammed maintained that it will solidify the shared commitment to combat looting and trafficking of precious cultural property.
The world has now moved away from stricto sensu legality to issue of morality, and that it is not about how you came into possession of these artifacts that matters, but the fact that they remain looted, they remain stolen, and the right thing to do is to return them to where they belong. And I hope that the British Museum and other museums will borrow a leaf from what has happened today and what also happened in Germany, to please, move away from legislation and statutes on why they will not return.
Expressing gratitude to the boards of trustees of Smithsonian Museum of African Arts, the National Gallery of Arts, and the Rhode Island School of Design for their roles that led to this ceremony. The agreement was signed by the Director General, National Commission for Museums and Monuments for Nigeria, while Lonnie Bunch signed for the U.S.
It's a really great moment for us to, as a testimony that repatriation is the right thing to do. Museums outside of Nigeria should understand that returning of objects that are illegally taken out of Nigeria is something that they need to agree to return them.
The Oba of Benin was represented at the ceremony by Prince Abatise Erediawa. Others also present include Mukhtar Ibrahim Bashir, Ambassador and Deputy Chief of Mission, Nigeria Embassy, In Washington, Nigeria is taking delivery of 21 artifacts from Smithsonian and one each from the Gallery of Arts and Rhode Island School of Design. In Washington, D.C., Anthony Forson, NTA News.
Interesting. Now, if you are one of those wondering why some old kingdoms and empires chose to settle on top of high grounds, then it's your lucky day, as Abdullahi Muhammad has backtracked the steps of the forefathers of the Bolawa who used the dynasty kingdom to defend themselves.
A stroll by the palace of the Emir of Fika, the glitz of royalty. The inner chamber, the crafty hands of the architectural wonders of the people. Hails and praises behind His Majesty Muhammad Abali ibn Idrisa, blanketing his throne for a sit, palace top hands. But when the human shields gave way, the evolution, culture and values of the Bolawa was eloquently outlined.
We migrated to the shores of Lake Chad. So along the line, due to some squabbles and disagreements on hunting, we stopped by princes. Always you'll have conflict over leadership. So along the line, the main Bolawa group went eastwards, looking for grazing and a place to settle down. So eventually they arrived the Dynasty Hills. Due to strategic and tactical reasons, at that time there was open warfare and you have to settle in an area where you can defend.
The origin of the Bolawa people lies on the mountain about 70 kilometers away from Potiskum. We set out there. Through thick and thin, we arrived to Karingamji, the custodian of the mountain. A piece of history at the base of the mountain.
This house was built when he was not a king. After he came back from school, instead of him staying in his father's house, he resolved to build his own house here until the death of his father when he was made the king.
The trinket of treasure up the mountain, and there we go. We are finally on the tracks of history. History that can only be likened to the Ethiopians who stood tall against the Italians.
Off there, from wherever angle you are coming, you will be sighted. And they make so many trenches where even if you come to raid them with the horses or whatever, there is a trench. And there is a gate entering into the town.
If the hands of time could turn centuries back, then this work would have been on the walls of the great kingdom. But only the heaps of its building block remain. From the Daniski Mountain in Fika local government, Yobe State, Abdullahi Muhammad, NTA News.
Thank you so much, Abdullahi Muhammad. Now, all that, the story so far, plus hope rising for Abuja fuel pumps to flow again. Details when we come back. If you're just joining us, this is News Extra, and let's just go straight into business, and we have Musa Abubakar with that. Musa, it's over to you.
Thank you, Fatima. The confluence of forces calls for a strong, proactive approach by the International Monetary Fund (IMF) through policy advice and financial support, as well as resources that will help strengthen institutions and human capital. This was the submission of panelists on building resilience for today and tomorrow at the sidelines of IMF World Bank annual meetings. They believe that capacity building will be necessary to respond to short-term shocks as well as bolster resilient economic institutions to tackle long-term challenges such as climate change.
We have to build capacity amongst regulators, amongst central banks, amongst ministries of finance, to do two things. Risk management, that is to say, to assess risk, both transition risk and physical risk, But we have to do more than that. We also have to do green finance.
Going to answer to the call to put in more money, and then through this we can support different countries, but even other mechanisms outside there. So we need to work together too.
Cash transfers are better than price control mechanisms. Temporary is important, but there's no denying the fact that these are difficult times. So it's not going to be easy to just make everybody as happy as they were 6 months ago.
Now to energy. Oil futures fell for a third day on Wednesday as a stronger dollar and worries about weaker demand and rising interest rates outweigh supply. That are concerns that followed last week's OPEC Plus cut to its production target. Brent crude futures lost 2.02% to $92.55 a barrel. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude lost 2.26% at $87.33. The capital market, the equities market closed Wednesday trading session on a bearish note. The all-share index fell 0.07% at 47,531.84 basis point. A total turnover of 155.1 million units of securities valued at 3.6 billion naira were recorded in 3,797 deals. Equity capitalization fell to 25.8 trillion naira. And that's business news. Fatima, is back to you.
Thank you so much, Musa Bakar. Now, let's head to Gombe, where the Gombe State government has formally opened its doors to both national and foreign investors as it declares a 3-day investment summit to showcase the investment opportunities in the state. Emmanuel Akila reports.
Leveraging on her gains of providing favorable atmosphere for businesses to blossom, Gombe State puts up the investment summit to beckon on investors from around the world to take advantage of opportunities in various sectors for the economic prosperity of the state and the country.
Gombe has captured the imagination of traders, business caravans, and enterprising wanderers from within and outside Nigeria. Our position is boosted by our strategic location at the center of the Northeast sub-region and proximity to neighboring countries around the Lake Chad Basin.
From 2019, we started a new homegrown ease of doing business baseline survey across the country. We spoke with the private sector. We looked at statistics from National Bureau of Statistics, and we had a robust engagement. It wasn't done by us. There was no bias there. It was carried out by KPMG. You would see from this that when we talk about it,
we produce in the South-South. Now, we decided to set up a factory here in Gombe because we followed the raw materials. 90% of the raw materials are here in Gombe.
With relaxation of certain policies, like allocation of land, some tax relaxing, has made the environment to be more friendly for investors.
For 3 days, experts in industrialization, finance and investment would engage in analysis of the prospects in the Muhammadu Buhari Industrial Park under construction and interactions to explore opportunities in the business environment in the state. In Gombe, Emmanuel Akila, NTA News.
The message is loud and clear. Federal government's collaboration with communities and key players is currently turning the tides with the resolve to eliminate economic sabotage and crude oil theft in the country. Lydia Thompson reports on recent successes, making experts optimistic in the Niger Delta and across Nigeria.
Like a thorn in the flesh, crude oil bunkering and theft had continued to make the oil and gas sector bleed in Nigeria. From a little hemorrhage, it grew to become life-threatening. Determined to revive and resuscitate the sector responsible for a large chunk of the nation's economy and foreign exchange earning, the NNPC Limited commenced a life-changing collaboration with the communities and key security operatives, and now the narrative is changing for good. The manifestation of the success story all began when Group Chief Executive Officer of Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Mele Kyari, revealed that the company has uncovered an illegal 4-kilometer pipeline from Forcados in Delta State to the sea and a loading port that has operated there in the last 9 years. Mele Kyari didn't stop at the revelation when he appeared before a joint Senate committee on upstream, downstream and gas. He was part of a high-powered delegation that defied the rains to visit the site of a bridge, no doubt contributing to the over 22 years of crude oil theft in Nigeria.
The technology already been applied. We still now have visibility around many of the marine activities that are going on. We see visibility around most of our assets, and we're improving on this. Obviously, technology is part of this intervention.
There will be a thorough investigation, and everyone who is involved certainly will be brought to justice, and the law will take its course. Then, of course, right here at the terminal, the fact that it's been shut down for quite a while means that a lot of losses have come to the country. And so measures that have been taken now to restore, export will be heightened.
They all lamented the unprecedented rate it has assumed in recent times. Cairo revealed that 3 operational facilities of Forcados, Bonny and Brass Oil terminals have all been shut down as a result of the high rates of crude oil theft, leading to the loss of about 600,000 barrels per day. The joint operations and partnership with communities is already yielding immediate impact.
One of the contractors and teacher security service is the one that makes this apprehension, because the whole architecture is anchored around detection, deterrence, response, and recovery. I think there's no doubt that we have made significant success in terms of detection, in terms of deterrence, and in terms of response. What is now left is for Nigerians to start witnessing the recovery journey. And I think before the end of the month, you will see the benefit of all the architecture that has been put in place. We have anticipated that this architecture will start yielding results in 90 days, but what we are seeing is that we will start seeing in about 60 days.
With the community spearheading securing the waterways and the critical operations of crude oil, the thieves, they say, must realize they can no longer be at ease.
It's among the list of vessels being monitored constantly, and it's been evading authorities for quite a while now, and its route is very funny. It's been frequenting the Niger Delta and at the same time carrying crude illegally to Ghana, precisely Tema.
As the community leaders engage to keep watch over the waterways continue to navigate and patrol, they are optimistic that with the renewed sustainable efforts, the end of crude oil theft and bunkering may be sooner than anticipated. In Abuja, Lydia Samson, NTA News.
Thank you so much, Lydia, for that. Now joining us via Zoom is Captain Werede Nusa. He is going to talk to us more on oil theft. He is a maritime intelligence aviation satellite system consultant for Tantita Security Services Nigeria Limited. Even though we've seen him in that report, but let's hear more on this oil theft issue. So you're welcome, Captain, to News Extra.
Thank you very much.
Well, we've watched our report, and so many people have been talking about oil theft, but we really don't know much about it. So can you tell us, when people say oil theft, what are we talking about? What is the magnitude and the impact on the economy?
As you can see, we are in a very, very dire situation. I mean, this theft has taken 2 dimensions, or even more than that. You have the local section, and then you have the international section, as I said much earlier. The local section is quite small. It's not too much. If we're going to do estimates, it probably won't be up to even 10% of our losses. Most of the losses are all international, as you can see from that particular video. That's just one simple case. There are more cases like that are going to come up, which we are looking at. And the international dimension, if I explain, is the fact that most of Nigeria's crude is stolen by ships that come into Nigerian waters illegally, which we've monitored for more than a decade. Fortunately, the government and the NNPC have taken the initiative to appreciate the private sector involvement in it. That is why you're seeing this particular result. The military has been in the forefront of this war, that, as you know, every arm of government has got its own bureaucracy, and criminals know nothing about bureaucracy. They are very, very swift in acting. So the government decided to match them dollar for dollar by bringing in the private sector. That's why you're seeing this result. And now these losses, as I said, are huge. Some ships are very big, but they can't come so close to Nigerian waters. So what they do is that they penetrate the low waters with flat bottom or possibly ships with low draft, go near pipelines. And in this particular scenario, this ship found itself alongside the bushes, not even a genuine jet, close to a pipeline being operated by Chevron that runs from Abitaye flow station to the Escravos facility, where they connected, their partners in the business connected illegal pipelines into the major line and started siphoning fuel. Unknowing to them, the government has laid ambush for them in support or via the support of the private security company called Antita Security Services. And that was how they fell. This is one of many incidents. The other aspect of it is where the genuine lines, the crude oil lines have been tapped. They've been tapped, and as you can see, they tapped them to the ocean.
Yes, we've seen it in a whole lot of
wellheads that are not in use. They use wellheads that are not in use to use it to siphon the crude oil, as you could see.
Well,
so that's what's happening.
Yes, Captain, you've said a whole lot. Yes, we've seen that the collaboration between government and other stakeholders, have been yielding results, or is still yielding results. So can we say it will soon be Uhuru, if I may ask?
If you ask me, and if we continue in this trend, I guarantee you this problem will be brought down to the most minimal of all we can ever experience, because as you can see from that particular video, the deterrence factor is very, very strong. A lot of people are going to give up this business, which is the option they have to take. They don't have a choice. Nobody can be stronger than government in anywhere in the world. So the message is very, very strong. A willing government, a willing private sector, and patriotic citizens will bring this thing down to the barest minimum.
Well, what can we do now to sustain the tempo? Because like I said, it's yielding positive results. How can we sustain this tempo?
Well, we have a government that is going to be handing over to another shortly, and these problems do take time, there's no doubt. The best thing to do is for the incoming government to continue in the trend that this government has founded. If we continue this, definitely we can bring it up. But however, you have to understand something. You cannot win this war without a carrot and stick approach. Most of this has been caused by the level of degradation of the environment, and at the same time also the unemployed teeming youths we have in the area who aid and abet such things. So we have to look for the other aspects that replaces the source of illegal living into legal living. So, and that's why even Tantita Security Services did something very, very commendable, which is to employ about 17,000. So it is left for us to continue to see that we convert a lot of the illegality into useful situations, so that people can sway their minds off doing things that are inimical to the country's progress. So definitely it's sustainable, no doubt, and we can overcome this.
Okay, I hope so. Always. Now talking about the host communities, are they cooperating?
They are. In fact, the host communities have been part of a big bank of intelligence. I mean, they see a lot of things, no doubt. Having due regard to the fact that we have to make do of electronic surveillance systems like satellites here and there. Though there are lapses, no doubt, there are criminal opportunities when it comes to satellite windows here and there. But however, we are getting a very, very great support from the communities, just like we did in the past. We had a database of criminal activities. We were waiting for this particular opportunity to be authorized, to be able to share what we know with government forces. And it's working so well for us. So we really commend the communities and we encourage them to continue to come up. There is an opportunity for their young ones to be employed in Tantita Security Services and other protection services that the government do partner with. So we commend them. We are happy with their conduct so far.
Okay, thank you so much, Captain. We're really there. We wish us all the best in the fight against this oil theft issue. Now, moving on, the NNPC Limited says more petroleum trucks have started arriving in Abuja and other destinations as the flood that earlier restricted their movement along the Lokoja Highway has receded. Group Executive Director Downstream Adeyemi Adetunji made this known in an interface with journalists in Abuja. Lydia Samson was there.
That resulted in a standstill in vehicular movements, with petrol tankers being the worst affected. Now, the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing has intervened with the rehabilitation of 10 sections of the damaged Bida Agai Road in Niger State.
146 petroleum tanker trucks arrived to the depot for dispatches into Abuja and the environs. Trucks are continuing to arrive to the depot for onward dispatches even as of today. Product delivery to other parts of the country are also continuing with the improved vehicular movement northwards.
Additionally, the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority and the NNPC have allowed the routing of trucks carrying petroleum products from Warriorgara through Port Harcourt and Makudi into Abuja and other parts of the north. The GED also reassures the general public that NNPC Limited has sufficient petroleum products in stock and that there is no need for panic buying as the stakeholders work to ensure early return to normalcy. In Abuja, Lydia Samson, NTA News.
Partnership between government regulatory bodies and the private sector is key to closing the digital connectivity divide in Africa and the world at large, where up to 35%, that is 2.9 billion people, are digitally unconnected. This is the view of Nigeria's Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Professor Isa Ali Pantami, at a summit on digital inclusion at the ongoing GITEX Global 2022 in Dubai. Chimjuma Ndebisi tells us more.
As it stands, the world's population, estimated to hit more than 8 billion before the year runs out, has about 5.1 billion of its population digitally connected. Discussions here are on deploying measures to close existing digital divide, improve inclusion, and attain digital maturity.
Initiatives of the federal government in an attempt to close the digital divide when it comes to digital skills. We have so many initiatives like virtual academies, training for women, training for children, training for people with disabilities, catch them young. When it comes to internet connectivity, we also have many initiatives like NICTIP, National Information and Communications Technology Infrastructure Backbone, which is another huge project and is going to be one of the major legacies of President Muhammadu Buhari's administration. NCC is being requested from time to time to use what they call roll-out obligation to direct mobile network operators on what areas to provide broadband connectivity in Nigeria.
The passion of Nigeria's digital economy sector's helmsman, Professor Isa Ali Pantami, in creating a viable digital economy, which has made the sector the fastest growing and on track to becoming our leading digital technology hub in Africa, has not gone unnoticed globally. He was honored with the Visionary Leadership Award by the Dubai World Trade Center. Nigeria is the only country among 100 other attendees at the exhibition to have received such an award. From Dubai, Chimdema Ndubisi, NTA News.
Thank you, Chimdema. Now, the Future Assured program of the First Lady of Nigeria, Aisha Buhari, of promoting the general well-being of women and children, is becoming a model in Africa. The First Lady of Burundi has therefore adopted its successful strategies towards improving the health and nutrition of women, children and adolescents in Burundi. This came to light during the high-level forum of women leaders from across the African continent. State House correspondent Aliu Kabir reports.
The high-level forum of women leaders cutting across all aspects of human endeavor from across the continent have converged on Bujumbura under the invitation of the Burundian First Lady Angelina Ndayishimiye, who is the Vice President of the Africa First Ladies Peace Mission, with the aim of brainstorming and sharing ideas and experiences towards addressing challenges affecting women and children in Africa. Discussions centered on the need to accelerate all efforts towards the reduction of maternal, neonatal, infant, morbidity and mortality. Having taken into consideration the contributions of the Nigeria's First Lady towards the promotion of the general well-being of women and children through the Future Assured program, the First Lady of the Republic of Burundi reaffirmed to replicate similar exercise in Burundi to particularly improve the health and nutrition of school-aged children.
That's my first time of being in East Africa.
The President of the Africa First Ladies Peace Mission explained that with the collaboration of all the relevant stakeholders and the support of the leaders, the interventions of the First Ladies Peace Mission will know no bound in their quest towards maintaining a healthier, secured, peaceful and prosperous Africa, particularly on issues affecting women and children.
We try to partner with developmental partners. Recently, the First Lady's office was able to get some therapeutic meals in partnership with the UNICEF. So that was a drive that our country did in reducing malnutrition. And we took it round. You can imagine we have about 774 local governments, so it's quite large.
How to improve their nutrition, how to make them healthy, how to promote our local products that will, at the end of the day, contribute to the development of the generality of the community.
The First Lady of Nigeria, Aisha Buhari, and her counterpart, the Burundian First Lady, Angelina Ndayishimiye, reaffirmed their determination to open other windows of opportunity, particularly the education of a girl child for the mutual benefit of the two countries. In Bujumbura, Burundi, Aliu Kabir, NTA News.
From Burundi now, let's head to Cairo, where the curtains have been drawn on the Nigeria-Egypt Trade Conference in Cairo, with commitment from both countries to work towards increasing the volume of trade and cooperation between them. Benny Adams reports that Minister of State Works and Housing, Ibrahim El Yaqub, is in talks with some of Egypt's giant construction companies to invest in Nigeria's infrastructure drive.
It is a government to business and business to business session. From talk to work, it is a handshake that hopes to revolutionize construction in Nigeria.
We have hills, we have rivers. I'm sure it can make wonders in Abuja.
Tariq El Gamal and Ahmed Afifi are two of three famous men turning the desert in Cairo into smart cities. Construction is the main game for both, while agriculture is sidekick for Afifi. This is the attraction for Nigeria, says Ibrahim El Yaqub, Minister of State Works and Housing.
Partnering with Egyptians who can not only invest in Nigeria, but you can actually go and get land and produce on that land and bring it to Egypt and to other places.
I think it's very good, inshallah.
Just like Ahmed Afifi in Egypt, Adeomi Osagi is building a smart city in Lagos, Nigeria. And her visit to Egypt, like other countries around the world, is to see and make a difference.
For the last 2-3 months, we've been able to attract an investment from the Middle East to the tune of $36 billion.
In all, organizers of the conference say it was a success.
A lot of people will start coming to Nigeria, and a lot of Nigerians will start coming to Egypt.
The conference did not close without selling Nigeria's unique creativity to the world. From Al Masa, one of Cairo's new smart cities, I am Benny Adams, NTA News.
Nigeria can effectively suppress the rising inflation figures and beat down her deficit if revenue derived from oil and other commodities are directed to grow the economy, as well as capital and human development. Divisional Chief Fiscal Affairs Department, International Monetary Fund, made this point while speaking on fiscal policy and its impact on economies. Abolade Salami reports that this came up as part of global attempts to save the world from a harsh future.
Most economies are having difficulties as a result of global economic crisis, which has now pushed countries to double-digit inflation and high debt profile. It is against this background that the International Monetary Fund, IMF, is admonishing a more realistic fiscal policy to help monetary policy decisions ensure price stability as fundamental for economic growth. This is absolutely critical, as IMF noted that for a country like Nigeria, with oil as a main source of revenue, the need for governments to take advantage of rising commodity revenues to address some of our deficits is vital to reduce debt and boost liquidity.
Our recommendation is to try to save some of these oil revenues to reduce debt, but also to use them to address these emergency needs. Like Nigeria, especially those including oil exporters, can take advantage of rising commodity revenues to address some of these needs and to reduce debt.
Another crucial area the institution pointed out as key to addressing Nigeria's economic quagmire is our tax revenue, which is really low in terms of ratio to GDP, undermining the capacity of government to confront some pressing needs and provide key services.
The Fiscal Monitor takes a deep dive into how fiscal policy can contribute to a resilient society that is capable of bouncing back in the face of adversity.
The emphasis here is for Nigeria to improve our domestic revenue mobilization in order to help make fiscal and monetary policies to align and work consistently towards ensuring economic stability. From Washington, D.C., Abolade Salami, NTA News.
Time for another break. We'll be right back. Thanks for staying. In continuation of the celebration of the girl child, parents and guardians in Upper Ibom State who engage their children and wards in street hawking have been cautioned to desist forthwith or face the law. To this end, a committee to arrest any child caught hawking during school hours will also arrest and prosecute the parents. Kelvin Samuel tells us more about this move.
According to the World Health Organization WHO, adolescence is a critical period that can determine the trajectory of girls' lives. It is a stage at which key investment and support can set the girl on a path towards empowerment, and when discriminated or engaged in harmful practices against these girls, it can send down a negative spiral.
The world is celebrating you because they have come to realize that girls are treasure. We are like gold and diamonds that should be handled with care.
Today, every mother is so busy doing what? And our government has to counsel them, to tell you, maintain your dignity.
The joy of the participants was literally visible for the lessons learned.
Being a girl child, we need equal attention as a boy child. Female children are not to be discriminated. They have their own rules, they have their own values, they have what they want to achieve in future. So if you're a female child, you better go for what you want. A female and a male child are all equal. Nobody is discriminated. You should not discriminate anybody. A girl is capable of doing anything and any profession that she wants to do.
Meanwhile, issues of the importance of breaking the barriers of silence and stereotypes, as well as having the knowledge of equal rights, dominated discourse. The 10th edition of the International Day of the Girl Child has as its theme, "Our time is now, our rights, our future." In Uyo, Kevin Samuel, NTA News.
And the eulogies are flowing for accomplished national and state figures of Borno extraction, following the conferment of national honors on 13 illustrious sons and daughter of the state. Abubakar Akwanga reports that Maiduguri, the state capital, literally moved to the nation's city center, Abuja, for celebrations of the enviable pedestal achieved within the space of Nigeria and beyond.
On Barrister Simon Magui.
13 public figures resonated on the national landscape, each with 3 blazing records of service to Borno State, the nation and humanity. Less speeches and more celebrations clouded the atmosphere as influential indigents of the Home of Peace welcomed additional debut into their credentials.
Our people will continue doing their best for the good of the nation and bring about lasting peace.
It shows that the efforts of our sons and daughters everywhere are appreciated by the whole of Nigeria.
Wari always think people of Borno, so we owe him a lot. Our sons and daughters are doing very well.
We're happy that our governor has decided to add another layer of honor to what Mr. President has done to all of us. It is a call for more duty and more loyalty to this country.
Each and every of them has distinguished himself in the different fields of endeavor. Be the governor, is the most performing governor despite the challenges.
This is a challenge too to indigenous of Borno State, so that they will contribute more to the development of the country.
3 Commander of the Order of the Federal Republic, 4 Commander of the Order of the Niger, 3 Officer of the Order of the Federal Republic, 1 Officer of the Order of the Niger, and 2 Members of the Order of the Federal Republic were the categories where these lifetime achievers fell, and the fulfillment knows no bound.
I urge all indigenous of Borno State, irrespective of our religious, political, or ethnic differences, bury our differences and come together with a view to developing our legal state. On my part, I shall, inshallah, continue to provide dividend of democracy to the people of Borno State in concrete, quantum, and measurable values. Inshallah.
For the recipient, the honor done to Borno State and its people is a real and priceless recognition which can only spur them for greater service to the nation and humanity. In Abuja, Abubakar Akwanga, NTA News.
We'll say congratulations to all of them. And with that, we conclude News Extra for tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I am Fatima Umar Buba. Enjoy the rest of your night.